What's going on, everyone? This is the Tenrikyo Bridge podcast, our first episode here. That's our first episode here. I'm here with
Kyle.
Michelle.
Yay! And this is Tim. In the Tenrikyo Bridge podcast, we're just going to talk about how our lives in this modern era are, and then just kind of view it through a Tenrikyo lens, So yeah. Recently, you guys moved over to Dentocho. Congrats.
Thank you.
How's that feeling?
Good.
Amazing.
Amazing? Is there I don't know, how is it amazing?
Well, for me, it's been my dream.
Yeah?
To be able to live at Dentocho, which was realized, right, a few years back when I was able to go to America Dentocho. But this is yet another kind of different situation that's I can't believe that it's happening.
Do you think that you've only been here for 2 weeks or whatnot, but
yeah.
Is it different from America Dentocho?
Definitely. Or because we're not considered staff this time.
Oh.
So it's definitely drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kyle?
No, it's great. I think, because the shinden is right there, and the schedule is the routine. I think I really appreciate. I was missing being away from a church, but the rising early, asashin, morning service, evening service, all that stuff. Yeah. And anything you do around here is kishin, so I appreciate that.
I think that's the one thing about Tenrikyo that's really great. It's the orderliness.
Yeah.
When everything's gonna happen, and I think that's that order. It brings it's kind of calming. You're oh, okay, I know what's next.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then you don't really gotta think about money or anything like that. And in its own way, it's it's a joyous life.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah. But so today I was thinking about talking about how we can live the joyous life in our lives and stuff. You guys, I know Kyle, you were working a regular 9 to 5. I'm not sure about you, Michelle, about where you were working beforehand, but where were you working beforehand?
My last job was, what was that? I was actually working for Sai.
Oh, Sai. Oh, yeah.
For just a little bit, though.
Oh, at as a dentist at the dentist place.
An assistant, but then that was only for a few weeks, and then prior to that, I was working for Glenn Honda Jr., who's
Reverend of North Honolulu Church.
Reverend North Honolulu Church.
Oh.
And or personal injury lawyer.
Yeah, recovery law firm.
Do you guys think that you were, how were you guys happy working in those jobs?
You want me to answer?
You can answer it.
I'm generally always happy working in my jobs. That's what I know how to do is to work and stuff, which is why it's very interesting the direction in which my life has gone, because when I started working for Sai, it was only for a few weeks because I ended up injuring my foot. And but prior to that, even I already for a number of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, felt that God the Parent doesn't want me to work for money anymore. And,
where do you think that what was how did you feel that message?
What do you mean? Just through different kinds of events that happened. So what solidified that was when I injured my foot after starting the job with Sai. Right before that, there were 3 different kind of job options that came up, and I wanted, I was so excited to start working again and everything, because that's what I'm good at. That's what I love, or that's what I loved in life. But yeah, I got that foot injury. But prior to that too, there's just a lot of I feel right, God the Parent is always sending us messages, is always telling us, or if we're paying attention, or if we take the time to reflect, we can receive those messages. So just through different things, whether it's what people say around me, or what I end up hearing, or seeing or whatever it is, like I get that kind of like just that understanding. It's what comes to mind, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You see those messages like here and there, and it's kind of like well, I guess it's, for me it's like I would like I do a lot of video, and then I would record something, and I would think, oh yeah, it went that way, but I had like an inkling that it wasn't, something was a little bit off, and then I'd replay the footage, and then I'm like, oh shit, like that happened. Like there's a lot of moments like that where you replace the footage, and then you're like, oh, God was like, there was like things happening. You could see it in the video, like things falling, and you're like, oh, what? But then you're like, you realize afterwards, like, oh, that was like, it all kind of like threads together in a message of, oh, that's like, I should be doing this, Yeah. You feel that way?
No. Well, I don't know. It's different. I mean, for me, I was at my last job with the Air National Guard for 20 years. So that was a huge part of my life before becoming Tenrikyo.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing for me was taking the things I would learn here and bringing it back to work, because I still had all that baggage.
Yeah.
So, and I really, towards the end, it was like a love-hate. Like I hated my job. Like a lot of parts are great, but then a lot of parts I hated, right? And I couldn't make the connection, I guess. But, so after leaving my job and then retiring and then going to TLI and then going to American Dojo, and then being out of work for about 4 years and then coming back to the workforce, like the shift in perspective has been pretty great. Like this new job, I'm grateful for every day. When things come up and make me, my old self would just be like, fuck this. Like I can actually like reassess. I can take the time, take a breath, and then, or even doing the tasks that I feel like, everyone has those tasks. You feel like, I'm the only one doing it. Nobody else is doing this. Why is, whatever, right? But I'm able to now change my perspective and be like, as long as I have the heart of gratitude, and as long as I have like the mind of Hinokishin, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
And then you do it again, then it's not bad at all. And then, then pretty soon, I look forward to it. So.
Yeah. Definitely the change in perspective is something that I learned from Tenrikyo that's like huge, and then it makes such a huge difference when you're doing something and then you're like, I don't like, or this perspective that I'm having right now, it's not really feeding me, or it's not really like, helping me in any way other than just like making me feel worse, But then if you like take a step back and then see it from like God's perspective, like, oh shit, like if you guys do this, if we all do this together, and we kind of get over this hump, and it's gonna help out so many other people,
right,
like helping people, and also like just kind of like helping just like the harmony, or if you're helping someone else through a hard time, there's a lot of different ways that you could think of the same situation, but then be like, oh shit, this is like helping someone. And I don't know, just like that like perspective, change of perspective gives you a lot more peace. And then that peace in your heart is, I think, literally the main thing, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's a process, I realized too, because just Friday, Thursday was, so a few days ago, it was the first time I got so angry at the next shift supervisor, right? And I was like, but it was interesting because I actually could feel it. Like I could feel my heart racing. I could feel the instant in my hand like this, right? And I was like, oh, I'm really mad. It's the first. Before I would just flap the handle or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But I finally was like, oh, I'm very upset, and I was like, I need to control how I'm going to respond to this. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, don't respond immediately. Take a breath. and it's like I need to feel this now, but I don't have to respond to it, and I can process it later, and
it's just an emotion.
Yeah, I still kind of snapped at him, but still, I mean, but it was a lot better than how I would have handled it before.
No, dude, I had the same situation recently too. I got like so freaking angry at my dad, and the thing is like, when if you don't live with your parents for a long while, you kind of get your own, zen, and then your life starts to go a certain way, and then like you get back to living with your parents and they do some stupid things, and then I'm like, God. But then like you, I haven't really gotten angry like that in so long, and then I realized, I was like, oh shit, like this crazy feeling, but then after reading. We've been reading the 8 Dusts a lot over at our church, and in the Dust it says that it's like you can't accept the situation. It's not, the situation in life is not going the way that you want it to, right? Mm-hmm. And then that is just like, it's just that ends up to being like a pride thing, and like your
expectations,
your like little like your the mind and the expectations that you set is not how the world is going, and then that's just even like, your mind is working against you. Like definitely. Just like in in song 10, like the root of all suffering is in your heart. And I'm like, oh shit, this is in my heart. It's not even like my dad isn't just like acting how he usually does. Even, and then I'm just like, oh shit, this is all in my heart. Shit, Yeah, man.
It's the best way to deal with it. Like anytime I get upset about stuff, I don't think about, or I realize that it has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just myself. Like the way that I look at it is that everybody is technically God the parent. If everything we hear and see is in them, right? And some form of tebiki or divine guidance, it's like, that's all, it's just God the parent. And you can't get mad at God the parent. Like, but God the parent is trying to say something to me. Or just trying to get me to reflect on some kind of situation. Like, so I can't get actually so mad at anybody anymore.
I think one thing that made me less mad is I worked at a nursery school for babies, and then when you work at a nursery school, or if you look over a bunch of babies, you realize that some of the way that they're acting is some of the way that a lot of like adults act.
Exactly. Like, they're little adults.
You're like, and then after that, I'm like, oh shit, like. We're all just babies,
Definitely,
We just figured out different ways of expressing ourselves, but at the end of the day,
that's the truth. But that's why, right? God the parent teaches us we're all God's children. We're just kids running around.
So it's like, if you think about it like that, I'm like, okay, this is just like him acting this way, and I'm like, okay, cool. It makes it like, it kind of like, brings it down a level for me. So I'm like, okay,
How was that working there?
Working in there? Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Every single day, it's because I came from like working in video, and then in video it's like you work with a crew for like a month or so, and then after that month you guys all dissipate, you go your separate ways, and then you have to, it's like a starting all over again process. And in some ways it's fun, but then when you work with kids and it's like 1 year or like 1 month, 2 months, like 1 year passes, that bond is like it's so strong and so beautiful, especially when it comes from kids that are like, they're just so happy to see you. So I think that was like the biggest wake up call for me, that I gotta make connections in this world.
That's wonderful. Exactly.
Like I can't always just like be starting off new, and I'm not sure if like but my life, I've been like here in Hawaii, then I moved to LA, then I moved to this, and I'm constantly moving. but I never really settled down, and that was the first time that I settled down and I saw the same people over and over again. It was the kids, but you know, even with the kids, it's like they would, oh shit, Tim Sensei, you know, like, and they give me a big hug, and every single day it's like, it's slowly that just like, I was just like, whoa, this is the life. This is how we should be living life, like making strong connections, and then like saying hi, good morning, and the really bright smile, and not really caring for like, you know, wanting things from other people because you already have everything, right? So it's like that was like the big wake up call for me to be like, oh, I should like, I'm the way that I'm living now is great, but it's not conducive to the joyous life, I think. So that was like the thing for me.
Awesome.
How do you feel, or how do you feel you can get closer to living
a joyous life? I think it's like taking action. I think trying trial and error has been like the biggest thing for me, like, but I don't know. It was like trial and error, but then also I feel like God brought me to that situation.
Right.
Cause then like, I told Kyle this, but then like I was living at a Tenrikyo church, and then suddenly things didn't go the way that I wanted it to. And I got so freaking mad. I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm gonna go out. You guys think you control me? Yeah. No way, dude. And then
sounds like me.
And then like suddenly it was during COVID, so like luckily all the jobs that would have been like I wouldn't be able to apply for because I don't have the credentials were open to me because the borders were closed, and they were looking for American English speakers everywhere. So I was just like, all right. So I just looked it up, and then I found like 5 jobs that were looking for this English speakers. And then this was the one where that had babies in it, and I was like, oh, I want to like learn how to take care of babies. I didn't know like how to change diapers or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and then just had the greatest 2 years of my life, and I was just like, wow, this is, so it was like a little bit of like God pulling me somewhere, but then also if I didn't take action, I just stewed in my like my hatred of like the situation, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere, you know. I think it was like really like me being like, okay, I'm gonna try something different. So it's a little bit of trying something different, being open to new experiences. Like I never took care of babies before, so I was like, oh, I'm open to this, you know? And then, so I think that's what it is.
Fantastic. I don't know the full story. So you're at a kyokai though?
Yeah, I was at my daikyokai.
Oh, you're your daikyokai.
Yeah, and then...
so do you have some kind of agreement of like how long you'd be doing kinokushin or something?
Yeah, so I was at, the whole time even before I got in there, I was telling my daikyokai-san, I'm going to work at gonna go TLI, then I work at Kaiaibu, and then I wanted to work at Kaiaibu for 2 years because I wanted to make videos and stuff for Tenrikyo. And then he was like, oh, but then this year is the year where we're having our 130th anniversary, so if you can, we want you to do the 1 year of Hinokushin this year. And I was like, okay, cool, so I will do 1 year here and then go back to Kaiaibu, that's okay, right? And then he was like, okay, cool. And then near the end, like 1 month before my thing ended, he was like, oh, you can't work there anymore. And I was like, what? We promised, you made your promise. I thought everything was settled. And then he was like, no, you can't work there anymore. And then he was like, yeah, there's like something like you can't like have 2 years, or I have too many Chua people there or something. And I was just like, And then I called my the head of my kacho at the Kaiaibu, and he's like, oh no, your daikaichi-sama said that you can't do 1 more year here because you're gonna do an extra year at daikyokai. And then I was just like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing
it.
So then I was just like, what? But then each time, so that's like, and then the rest, how the rest of the story goes. But what happened after that which is strange, was I went back and I actually went face to face with them. I'm like, did you really do this? And I asked like around. And then they were just like, oh yeah, no, I didn't do it. It just kind of worked out that way. So I think what it is maybe God pulled the strings so that in a way that it just like
always like that.
People miscommunicated or something, and then you know,
definitely.
Well,
so I think
we've been through a lot of miscommunications.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it all worked out in the end. Yeah, because then here's the thing. I was thinking, if I had gone straight from doing seinen back into kaiaibu, I wouldn't have the outlook of like, you know, working with children and how everyone's a child and stuff. So it actually, having that 2 years away from Tenrikyo and studying, like, you know, working with children and stuff like that, that gave me the perspective of a parent that I never had, you know? And I think that was like probably the thing that God really wanted me to have. If I was going to continue on to spread the teachings, I would need that perspective, right? So yeah, I think it just all worked out in the end. And yeah, I'm every time that I look back at it, I'm like so thankful that the you know, the dominoes fell like how it did. Yeah, because if there's no other way that I would have stayed, like even with COVID, like if COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't have gotten that job.
Right.
Like everything had to like fall in a specific way for me to get that job. So I'm like, wow, it was all God in the end. So yeah.
That is that like core of that story is why you can get through, or you can find joy in anything that happens, by understanding that everything God is laying out on purpose, and just so that you can find joy and more understanding, and like to open your mind and get closer to that joyous life. Like that's why anything that arises, it's always, I mean, we'll react, right? We'll get upset, or we'll throw something, or whatever it is, right? Or yell at somebody. But when you take the time to reflect, like the more that I experience it, or the more I reflect on things that have happened in my life, it's like I come to understand that everything in my life that's happened so far, and it's always so, especially bad things, like 10 times better, or like 10 times whatever was bad that had happened comes out something good. Or like, and it's not just it, like that bad situation doesn't just affect me, it helps everybody who is involved in the situation. Like there's never really anything negative. It's just negative at that moment, possibly because we can't see what God the parent sees. Yeah.
No, but what I came out of this was also that situation stemmed from a thing that I had to learn. Like I was like I struggle with anger a lot, and I have, because maybe it's because I'm an artist and I really want things to work out in a specific way, because, you know, I think it would just be so beautiful and great, a story if it worked out this way. But then like I can't have a handle on the situation, and like I think it was just like it's like stems of like that of the misunderstanding of the world that I have that is preventing me from living the joyous life, was part of that friction that created that problem, right? So I feel like if you really look back at, you know, like the problems that you have, it's just like the teaching of everything is a mirror of reflecting back at you, because that friction that started that problem, that friction that is like stopping you from ultimately being happy, is a thing that you need, like the message from God that this is like a highlighted area that you need to like work on,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that like I had to work on like understanding, you know, like things, like people think that they are doing the right thing, and they also are doing it from the the goodness of their heart.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But then, like, if you look at it from our perspective, you're like, no, fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
But then,
I mean, that's what
it's
Hitler did, man. Like,
Yeah.
he thought he was doing the right thing.
yeah, everyone's thinking that they're doing the right thing, right? But then, it's like you gotta shift your perspective and then see how things had worked out for them. And you know, I think it's like, you know, it's kind of beautiful in the way that you gotta like stop and be like, okay, like how did this happen, and reflect. And yeah, I think that is so beautiful. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really like Tenrikyo, because it's like it tells you, like, that's one of the core tenets that is in the Ofurusaki that is always being repeated to us. Like, you gotta stop and reflect. And yeah, I think it's pretty dope.
It's about.
Kyle, man, you gotta talk a little bit more.
I don't know. I mean, no, it's true. I mean, everything is made for us. Like, but the thing is, when you're in the moment, you don't have the time, or you don't have that. I don't know. I'm not there yet to realize that. You know, if I look back on other things in my life, right, I realize every single moment up to this point had led me to this point. So, what's the reason? What's the message? Why is this happening? You know, and then appreciate it. So that's why it's weird, because like big things in my life, like my mom dying, me getting cancer, like me being Seneca Incho, these big moments, at the moment, it's easy to look back and see everything, right? But then it's like the everyday stuff, that's the stuff I lose track of. That's the stuff that I'm not conscious of or self-aware enough, or you know what I mean. And it's the mundane stuff that I think that's the hardest part of, for me, being joyous or living the joyous life, is the everyday routine stuff is taken for granted, like, you know. And then while I'm doing Hinokishin in the mornings, I'm like, oh, this is so great. And 10 seconds later, it's like a thought enters my mind, and it's like you lose all of that, right? And so it's like, but the thing is too, what I learned is not to dwell on that. Like, I'm like, I'll get better at this as long as I'm trying. You know what I mean? Just trust the process.
It's like I think that's like the one thing about that I learned recently also, is that you gotta keep doing it. And I think that's the reason why that routine that Tenrikyo always that like a lot of Tenrikyo churches have, it's like the way to reach the joyous life, because humans are always forgetful, and because the longer that you stay in this the joyous life mode, the easier it is to stay in it, you know what I mean? The longer that you do hinokushin to work for another person, the more it's easier it is for you to be in that thought process of, oh, I'm saving this person, like that is atarimae, like that's a given, right?
Right.
So I think like that's what it is. You gotta always, and then that's the reason why I feel I've been coming to these conclusions recently, because I've been reading the 8 Dusts all the time. You know, you gotta always. I feel like we've been. It's so awesome that you gotta stay in this. You gotta stay in this like mode, you know, the zone, and then I think the blessings come a lot easier, you know.
Like I feel like that's one of the final legs.
Yeah.
Like you've gotten pretty good elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Your final leg is your family, because there's nobody in the world who will piss you off like your family.
Yeah,
definitely.
But
she just spent a whole afternoon with my family, and I was getting pissed at the end.
Family,
like,
really?
I was getting irritated.
Great, but it's also because they're not my immediate family.
That's why I love her family. It's great too, because they're not my family.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you get upset less than I do.
Yeah, and then I get it. I mean, and I let it go. But when it comes to my family, like, it's just it's deep, man. It's deep.
yeah, but I don't know. It's tough because I know it's not my dad's fault, because he's like slowly getting more senile, and that's the thing that like really is like making me really angry. But like, you know, that's like not his problem, or it's not him like intentionally doing that.
You know what though? But like, what was it? Right, the teaching that we're all brothers and sisters. It makes it easier if you really can think of everybody in the world as your brother and sister, because you can start thinking of your family as other people, the same way you would approach other people outside of your family, to approach them in the same way that you would in that kind of a light kind of thing. Because like watching how he'll get upset with his family, but I'm okay with whatever's happening.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like it opens my mind to come to realize that, oh, it's just my own experiences and all the history or whatever it is that's causing this kind of anger. Whereas if I imagine that whatever it is that I'm angry at just happened, but somebody else outside of my family did it, I wouldn't get upset.
Street,
I wouldn't get so angry. I'd just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just be like,
no problem.
He's just a cranky old man, you know?
Yeah. It's hard because you criticize our family as well. We want them to be better.
Yeah, I think that's what is. That's what it is for me.
Yeah.
Because I know, and maybe it's because I had like rose-tinted glasses being a young kid, and
of course,
I always looked up to my dad.
Such
and then
wonderful
suddenly, because of old age and all that kind of stuff, my dad is just making the worst decisions, and I'm just like, what happened to the other dude? Bring the other dude back, you know. But then that's like that's me, that's a thing, like my expectations of what, because I know that he could be better. I think that's what it is, So,
but I think that's I think on the other hand, you don't realize that you're growing up or you're coming to realize more things. That's why you see him in a different light. Not so much that he's changed that much, and even if he has, it's not him so much as ourselves and our expectations and understanding.
Yeah.
Because like my mom, right? She's infamous for being late. Like everybody jokes about it all the time. Like Toko just said that to her before he left. Because last month or the previous month, she didn't show up on time for her yakuwari, her position.
Oh, her position.
For Skiramisai. And that's not the first time, many times. But it's like, what I realized, like, I don't know how many years now, it's been a while back, but our whole entire lives, we're, not just myself, my dad, my brothers, everybody has been telling her about being considerate about people's time or trying to be on time. Like we used to sit in the car for an hour. She'd be like, okay, I'm coming out. We would all be sitting in the car for an hour and she'd be talking to people and whatnot. But like, I feel like what I realized was that we've been like 30 something years of my life, we've been telling her to try to be on time or to try to be considerate of other people's time. And I realized it's not working. So I took a different approach and I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell her it's okay. It's okay to be late. It's because what it is I feel like what we're doing by telling her like, oh, you have to do this and that, it's stopping her from, it's causing her more stress or whatever. So she just blocks it out at a certain point. So it's not working
it's like
anyway.
Literally the reason why God the parent teaches us in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
You could, like, for example, my mom is the most Tenrikyo person ever. She loves Tenrikyo, and she's like a great teacher of it. She shows it through her actions, and everyone loves her for being like so considerate. And I feel like her core values is Tenrikyo, right? So I'm like, oh, this, like, I can appreciate it now that I kind of like Tenrikyo. But when I was a baby, I fucking hated that shit. I was like, Mom, why are you like me? Like, why are you like freaking like stopping my freaking TV show and telling me to go use them it? Like, fuck that. I'm gonna watch TV. But then like, so then I went to OS, and then I met these like the worst people. Like, they were like my OS classmates, and then each person would be like, oh yeah, like this freaking like Jusan Toge, why the fuck are we doing this? And then like I would understand, like each thing had like a freaking like a story behind it. My favorite story of this kid who went back and forth 3 times to ask Oe-sama to save his mom. we walked that an OS, and then they were like, why are we fucking walking this? It's so fucking hot here. And then I was like, yo, you fuckers, like this is like my favorite story. Don't you know?
Don't shit on it.
Yeah. And then that made me Tenrikyo. I was like, I don't want to be like these fuckers, you know?
Yeah.
And then, but then it's the same message as my mom. What my mom was saying, like, oh yeah, you should be doing this and this and this. But then it's the way that maybe the delivery is the person can't take it that way, you know?
Well, I mean, I think it's because I kind of feel like within Tenrikyo, we lack explanation. Because we all grew up in it, it's like we feel that everyone should already understand. And then so you're just thrown into doing Jusan Toge or thrown into doing Otsutame or whatever it is without actual understanding as to why. Because if you go around and ask people why we do certain things, it's either like why we do service or something. It'll either be like a copy and paste kind of answer, or just the I don't know. Kind of thing. Like to have it like really come from the heart as to why, like that's important. Like that's the kind of explanations we need. Just like your explanation for why we're doing the Jusan Toge.
Yeah.
Because never have I heard somebody say it in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what will inspire.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I'm so adamant about making content about Tenrikyo.
Yeah.
Because it's like every single sensei that I talk about Tenrikyo to, they're just like, yeah, well, just do it and you'll know. And it's like, how can I know if I'm not being told what it is?
Right.
You know? And then like, I think that's just like, it's just like the Japanese way, like, and I realized that in Japan. So do you know the reason why in Japan everyone loves doing different religious things at certain times of the year? Like when you're married, it's Christian. When it's the New Year's, it's like Shukyo or whatever.
Yeah,
you know? It's because Japanese people love the feeling, the vibes, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
They love that.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching a bunch of people who love the atmosphere and the vibe something, then obviously you're not going to tell them like, oh yeah, you do it like this and this and this.
Right.
You just show them, you're like, okay, let's do it like this, and then you get them around people who kind of love it, and then you know, like everyone's zen and everyone's working together, and then suddenly they get the epiphany, oh, this is the joyous life, you know?
Yeah.
But then for Americans, it's like you tell us to do something and then we're like, why the fuck are we doing this?
Right.
Let's go do something else.
Yeah, well, I think that's a big difference because Japanese culture is very intuitive. American culture is like rational, right? Scientific, like justifications and whatever, right? Because it's two different things too, right? America is built on capitalism, which is like GDP, end product, bottom line, right? So it's like, why am I doing this? What's the bottom line? Right?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to receive out of this? Right? So you have to explain it intellectually. So,
but I think that's another reason why, like, all Americans are like hella depressed right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's because everyone, the bottom line, like that capitalism thinking, it's a fantasy. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can't, everything can't always be perfect.
Yeah.
Like you can't, and then everyone like, you know, like freaking, even with like Instagram model girls and freaking like, just like these filters that we have, it's a fantasy that we're all buying into. And then that's the reason why everyone wants plastic surgery nowadays because they can't accept the real thing.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like the dissatisfaction between like reality and the fantasy that we've all kind of accepted is supposed to be reality is like tearing our insides apart.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my biggest thing before I came to Tenrikyo was, on paper I did everything right? Joined the military, I was getting promoted real quick, I was a Boy Scout, I was captain of a football team, wrestling team, all this stuff, right? I was very successful. But then I was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm on my way to, do the American dream. But why am I not happy? Why isn't none of this is paying out? Like, you know what I mean? And that's when I was like, really just like anarchy, and I was just I was just doing everything to destroy myself, because it was like, it was like this. I realized that this was all, it's all fallacy, it's all fake. Like on paper, it's like I did it all right. Why is nothing working? You know what I mean? And then it's like, but again, that's one of those things that I look back on. I was like, oh yeah, without that entire, without the entire foundation of my understanding of my life crumbling, I wouldn't be able to become Tenrikyo. So it's a blessing.
But then also that was what I was talking about earlier, like us having a expectation and life not living up to it. That is a dust.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think when you talk about the American side of things, American perspective, and why everyone's so depressed now is because they all did what they were told, right? Things that they were supposed to do: go to college, get a good job, buy a house, raise a family. Now none of these things are possible. Because of corporate greed and the way the system is designed now. And so it's like, everyone's slowly, getting the blinders pulled off, and they're waking up to something, and that's what I think COVID showed a lot of people, right? So I feel like there's a big shift in the collective consciousness of things. I mean, especially with climate change and all this other stuff too. Right?
Like how climate change is like rearing its head, and people are like, oh shit, it's real.
And AI gonna make all our jobs obsolete. It's like we need to find another purpose besides making money.
What do you think that purpose is?
For me, it's being productive, like just being a useful, contributing member of society. And,
dude,
and that's doing Hinokishin, man.
Dude, I came to this realization recently, like, so it's chasing a girl. When you want a girl, you have these expectations, like, oh fuck, I'm gonna do this and this and this. And then you do everything right, everything that you've been told to, and then the great girl doesn't come along, and you're like, fuck this, fuck the system.
What's going on?
But then suddenly the age old thing, if you just do, your live your life, she'll come. Live your life, meaning if you just kind of like do things for other people, like if you're productive and you help society, you're like in, like, you do like what's it called, like you're like helping out like with volunteer work and all these kind of things, then your innate beauty comes out, and then suddenly God is working with you because you are living the freaking Oe-sama's model of helping others and living the joyous life, and all the blessings come, and then that's when you get the things that you want in life, right? So I think that's like what it is. It's just like you gotta live the joyous life, and you gotta also be one of the conduits to bring the joyous life to fruition, and then that's when the blessings come.
Absolutely. Like that's why I feel like it is important to deepen your faith or go to shiok or whatever it is, to experience or come to understand the teachings more. Because it's the reason why we want to study the teachings. It's not just study the teachings or memorize how to dance and stuff like that. It's really to come to understand more about how the world works and stuff, and to realize like our flaws within ourselves, as well as like how we should deal with things in general. Like that's what the teachings teach us, is how to deal with things. Because if we're short and angry all the time, it's going to be difficult to do anything, to have a job, to keep a job, or to marry someone, find a girlfriend, etc. All of that plays into everything. Like really finding your faith, or I don't want to say finding your faith, because that's a high order for someone who doesn't believe in God, kind of thing.
Right.
Like I didn't always believe in God, and it took just taking small parts of Tenrikyo and like agreeing with that so much, and then being like against everything else that was said, and then but slowly, right, as you keep going in there, like it starts to all fall together and make complete and utter sense. And at the same time, it's changing who you are as a person and how you deal with everybody.
I think that reminds me of like how I got really into Tenrikyo, and how I got really into Tenrikyo was that like I believed in the eight dust, and how, you know, that because that's like common sense, right? If you are like prejudiced, or you have you're super prideful, and you live by those dusts, obviously you're gonna feel really bad, and bad things are gonna come to you, right? But then if you sweep all those dusts away and you have a clear, pure heart, then all the good stuff is gonna happen to you too, right? So that was like my foundation of why I like believed in Tenrikyo, and that was like the foundational philosophy. And then people were like, well, dust don't work unless you believe in a thing lent, a thing borrowed. And then I also was like, oh shit, like I don't understand.
What do you mean dust doesn't work unless you believe in a thing lent, thing borrowed?
Because
Doesn't work?
like a thing lent, a thing borrowed is the mesh, the glue that connects the spiritual side of Tenrikyo with the philosophical side. So because of a thing lent, a thing borrowed, the Sasuke makes complete sense. Because before I was like, the Sasuke, like, how do you do this and suddenly like blessings come?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work out? But then it's because our bodies are not our own. This whole reality only exists on the back of God the parent.
Yeah.
Right? So if you believe that, you know, if you believe in the mission of the joyous life, and you're always bringing it to fruition, obviously if this is like God the parent's reality, God the parent's gonna freaking work so that all the, you know, the good things, the good juju comes, and good blessings come to you, because it's working with the through line of this reality, which is to live a joyous life.
Right.
So that's obviously how that works. And then if you believe that this is all a simulation that God the parent created,
Right.
then if you like completely just trust in God, and you try to sweep the dust in your mind, and then you make sure that that person sweeps the dust in their mind, and you do the Sasuke to them, obviously it's gonna work. Because it's a thing lent, a thing borrowed. And this is God's reality. So then that's when I was like, oh shit, if this is true, then if the dust is true, then the thing lent, a thing borrowed is true, and then the Sasuke is true, then I'm like, holy shit, it all makes sense.
Okay, so how would you, I mean, besides doing the service and everything, because I feel like, right, because people have, I feel like if you just focus on sweeping the dust away, like how exactly do you connect that?
What do you mean?
Or I mean, because, okay, so let's say you get upset at work, or you're basically accumulating dust every day, right?
Yeah.
Or once you wake up kind of thing. So, and you do morning service. So you swept do you believe that like you're always able to sweep away your dust?
So
kind of a thing? Like how do you think that works?
So I came to the belief that the dusts are not the natural way that the human mind works, but the human mind is working in a bunch of different ways all the time, right? You're like always thinking of things. Yeah. But then if you are, so the way that Tenrikyo is, the Tenrikyo is kind of like a equation that you put your mind through so that good things come out of it. So if you're always using that equation, then it's easier for you to use that equation. You know, like just like the first time that you use a freaking Pythagorean theorem or whatnot, you're like, what the fuck is this? But if you use that like every fucking day,
you come to understand how to use it, and then use it.
Then you keep using it every day. Yeah. Then for the mundane thing, even the mundane things of like, fuck, my soda's flat. Like I don't like this. Then you'll use that Pythagorean theorem, and then you're like, oh shit. So it's like, I think that it's not that you do the morning service and then your dust is swept and you're clean, and then you do the evening service and dust is swept and you're clean. It's like you do the morning service and you start to think about how this world works, how joyous life works, how the dust is not like beneficial to your life, and then suddenly like all the things start to fall into place.
Yeah.
You know, and then even at work, you start to think, okay, well, I did that this morning, and you just kind of think about, you just plug everything into that equation.
Yep.
And then things start to work out. So it's like, that's the reason why I believe God said that it's a broom, because it's a tool.
Right.
Like Tenrikyo is a tool for you to sweep things away and to think about the world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly the answer to your daily life situation, right? It's like reflecting is easy to see how things went. But if you have that, like I love the fact that you used math, because like right, because when we're in first grade and we're learning math, right, just a simple addition, like we're frustrated. We're like, what the hell is this shit? Like what am I supposed to do with this crap? I don't want to do my homework, blah blah blah. Now as adults, it's the easiest thing. We would do it for fun, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's like, we don't even have to think about it, right? 1 + 1 = 2. And that's the way that the teachings work also. In the beginning, it's difficult to understand. Once you break through that and you can understand, then it's difficult to always remind yourself. But the most important thing is not to get upset at yourself or be upset about whatever else is happening, but just to understand that you're human, everyone else is human, we're all God the Parent's children, and we're all on our way. Right, to the joyous life. And like it takes a lot of practice and time and process to be able to eventually get to a point where you don't even have to think about 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Right, where it just naturally comes out
That's
of
not
you.
what Terrence Howard said. That's not what Terrence Howard said. No, but yeah, Tenrikyo provides all the tools, and it's actually, to me, it's the most empowering religion I've been a part of, because we have the power, right? Using God as a broom. Whereas, the other ones I've been to, it's like you pray to God for your salvation. Like God is the only one that can save you, right? But with these tools, you save yourself and other people.
Yeah.
Like it's super empowering. Like
Well, that's why people say Tenrikyo is an adult religion. Because it's like an adult, you're given the tools, and then you can use it or not.
Yeah.
Whereas like other religions are like, do this, do that. Always be subservient.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think possibly maybe math has been in my mind because I've been working at the bank for like this morning I did so much math, I was like, oh shit. So now I'm like, oh yeah, Pythagorean theorem. But yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, I think that is a great time for us to like kind of, that's a great point for us to end this, because I feel like we had like a few really great conversations today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know what happened. I blacked out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think once do it a few more times, get into a groove. Maybe if we have like, I don't know, notes or something.
Yeah.
We can just like, then once the thing starts to die, then we can just.
Yeah. No, I was thinking maybe we could do like a news story of the day.
Yeah.
And then do like how Tenrikyo would view this, like how Tenrikyo would view Donald Trump saying whatever,
Oh my goodness, that would be a fascinating one.
But yeah.
Hezbollah, Israel,
yeah. I think that would be cool to like for us to like try to put the Tenrikyo equation onto that, Yeah. But anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Aloha.